going to hear information and we'll be commenting on the information, and the staff will be providing our comments to those that they report to. So this is our chance to respond. This is mostly on budget. We will have a meeting in December when we will do more formal reaction to this stuff. But in the meantime, we will do something to help the staff move ahead with the budgeting process. So introductions and roll call. I'm Wayne Peterson. I'm the chairman of this committee. And Brendan?
Yeah, Brendan Clark, County Public Works.
Joey Style, County Public Works.
Michelle Schwarzman, Celeste City Council.
Lucia Pullman, Office of Sustainability for the City. Chelsea Moore, Supervising Civil Engineer, Public Works, City of San Francisco.
Brent Nelson, City Engineer.
Freddie Audi, City Biologist.
Jeanette Adams, County at Large.
Thank you all. We have minutes from August 9th. We will continue that item to the next meeting since it requires a vote. Is that correct? Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we not have a quorum after that?
I'm Michelle, you were a little late, sorry. John from the Land Conservancy emailed like 40 minutes ago and said he couldn't make it. So, sorry.
Sorry, that's okay.
So, hopefully we'll have a quick one and you can get to wherever you're going next.
No, that's fine.
So, I tried.
If you have any
Yeah.
comments on those minutes, you could probably email them into the staff here.
Sure.
You can consider them for the next meeting. So we can start out with. The next item is endorsing the fiscal year 2024, 24, 25 annual float plan. So staff, take it away.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick setup here. Why is that? This is an annual thing for us. Many should know, the city and the flood control district have an agreement, a cooperative agreement for a number of items, and the process laid out in that agreement is that the city will submit a work plan every year that gets reviewed. The term we use here is endorsed by the advisory committee, and then it gets put into our regular county flood control district budgeting process. The items that are a part of that agreement are general creek maintenance, like a lot of the work that Freddie does, both within the city and outside of the city. Those are tracked separately. The silt removal, these are they're maintenance projects, but require permitting and have longer time horizons for completion. This is like, you want to give an example? Off the cuff, Perfumo Creek work. Perfect. And there's a list in the attached letter in the agenda. And then the Mid-Higuera bypass project, basically most things that in that project, except for construction of capital improvements. And so the city has supplied their work plan. That's it's in the packet, page and a half. And we could discuss that. And I also want to note that I included, don't necessarily have to do this, but included, in response to our meeting in August in discussing waterway management plan updates and the different tasks we could get started. I wanted to put in front of the committee that I'm planning to put in $200,000 for July 1st next year. That will be available for us as we are able, as staff is able to get going. We can start doing data collection or working on stream gauges and things like that related to updating the waterway management plan. And so that would be, I guess, the brief summary of the 24-25 work plan. And quickly, I guess just our process. In January, I give our public works finance team this work plan, plus all the staff time related, county staff, our environmental staff, my time as well. And we get that all put into the budget book that end up being approved by the board in June. And so that's kind of how the process works. I don't know if you have any comments about your work plan, Brian, but that's.
Yeah, the only change from last year is the Mid-Higuera bypass request. The other three on the list are the same, unchanged. So yearly we have general creek maintenance work that kind of Freddie runs and manages through his resources in admin. And then we've got the CIP, the silt removal maintenance CIP work under that $150,000 item. That's every year sort of carries over and is enough to do 1 or 2 sites and design and permitting for the following year. So we've got 40,000 left in that project that we're going to be using to permit the next summer 2024 project, and then the 150,000 will go to construction for that work. Mid-Hagera bypass, where we've just got 95% level estimates, and we're looking at the bulleted items are specific to the Zone 9 agreement we have now with the county, or similar work that we do through Freddie's program with invasive species removal, tree removals, silt removals, kind of fall within those bulleted items. And last year we had a $1.4 million budget request to cover those items. What this $225,000 does is account for cost escalation and updated estimates that we've got from our design consultant, which show that those items will likely cost another $225,000. So that's the basis for that request.
I'm surprised it's not more, actually, the way things have been going lately.
Yeah,
Yeah, the original had a contingencies cost escalation factor in there. So
Oh.
last year's number was also kind of estimated. So we luckily are kind of close to the original, but it is still just an estimate, so.
yeah. So we estimated a 6% escalation from now till next summer, when the midpoint of construction would be. So it's 6%. Is that high? Is that low? It's probably in the safe zone, but we won't know until we get bids for those items too. So in the best case scenario is that these items cost less, and so the delta would be covering maybe some consultant services to implement construction, or it could go back into Zone 9 balance at the end of the project.
Does happen occasionally.
It do happen occasionally, and
Occasionally.
yeah,
We're actually
but
gonna
not frequently. Yes.
we're gonna be meeting here soon to go through some of the old POs and budget requests and see what we can close. So that will actually happen, I think.
Yeah.
There's some funding I think we could put back into the reserves. So,
Yeah, we can talk about that more, because I think some of those we should be billing to the older POs and just
We'll go through it.
like shotgun approach, billing the POs, so I think we can work through that.
Yeah. For sure.
How do you decide the silt removal, the order of the silt removal projects? I'm assuming that there's a lot out there.
Yeah, there's
kind of like the
14
creek maintenance.
14 different independent sites. And so I usually go around with one of the project engineers. Anthony's typically the one that's been on it these days, and just figure out where we've had the most accumulation after the winter, and then go after that. With our CDFW and our regional water board permit, it gives us kind of like an expedited permitting process. So instead of having to wait the 18 months or whatever it is for selecting a site, we've got a couple months worth of time instead. So we can be more proactive after the winter rains stop, and then say, let's do sites 2, 4, and 7 on our list. It's a pre-approved list. So, and then within 30 days of starting the project, we notify CDFW. June 1, we notify the water board, and then just making sure that we're covered with our nationwide or Army Corps permits. So
there isn't really like already, I mean, there's a list of locations in general, but there isn't like a prioritized list of, okay, this year we're gonna do this area, and in 2 years we're gonna do this area, and in 3 years we're gonna do this area. It's based on what happens in the
Correct.
winter each year.
yeah, just to be able to address where we've got accumulations from the previous winter. It gives us that flexibility.
But every year we've done Profumo at LVR, because that site accumulates like 1,500 cubic yards every year. Doesn't matter what year. So we can do that one. We can at least prevent that silt from moving into the lake and, filling up the lake, and which costs more to dredge in the future. So we try to do that one at least. We try to do as many as we can. Sometimes there's other extenuating circumstances that prevent us from getting to a few other sites, permitting being the main constraint on timing.
Yeah.
Because those permits come in at the very last second.
Yeah. But this year, we were able to do the Marsh Street. We're working on that right now. And so according to our permits, we're only allowed to do work in the east barrel. But under emergency auspices, we're going above upstream and downstream and working in all 3 barrels to remove that accumulated sediment from after the storms we had this year. Just to be able to restore the conveyance through that bridge, since we did have flooding January 9th. That was a priority. And so, like I say, under emergency auspices, we started that project Monday. The Profumo arm, we haven't gotten our permits for that. Here again, it's going to be under emergency auspices. We're starting that project next Monday, taking out 3,500 yards and actually over excavating. So we'll create a pit that we can accept more sediment coming down if the forecasts are accurate for having another winter on par with last year, making sure that we can capture as much sediment as possible before it gets down to the lake. So.
And yeah, doing Marsh Street Bridge this year is crucial too, because that's the real pinch point in the creek system. That's where it overflows first. So they're out there right now.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah. So Noah, the project engineer from Mid-Higuera, he and I were walking down there just doing some pre-activity surveys for that project. And we got under the bridge because I hadn't been under there since March. And I mean, just seeing the amount of accumulated sediment, I was just like, oh, yeah, this can't stay here. So that's why we started working with Wyatt, our emergency project engineer, developing plans in-house to be able to remove that sediment before winter. So by next Friday, hopefully the contractor will be done and restore complete capacity to all 3 barrels. So.
Do we need to have a field trip?
Yes, we do. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon.
Okay, I got you.
We can make December a field.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
Hopefully it's not raining.
Yeah, we could set up a tent and just have a shade tent,
See how the water flows. Yeah.
have a meeting.
Do you do any public relations, regarding these projects so people know what's happening?
Profumo Creek meeting last night.
Yeah, there was
5 to 7. And then KSBY came out on Monday to the Marsh Street Bridge site. It's today, it's Wednesday. They came out on Monday. They did a little story about kind of what we're up to. I mean, there wasn't much to see. It wasn't very exciting as it is today when they've got all the big trees taken down behind the McNamara real estate company. And then they should be done removing all the accumulated sediment on the Higuera side by today or early tomorrow. Rock is coming tomorrow to help armor the banks, and then they'll move over to the promontory side, the west side, starting next week.
Have we done anything with the stream gauge there?
I haven't touched it.
We're talking about moving it upstream to the,
It's gonna take some
Next
time
bridge.
in order to,
what's that?
it's gonna take some time in order to get it changed there.
And we had a different strategy that Brandon and I were talking about yesterday for that location.
How was the turnout at the meeting last night?
There's about 20 people there. It was good. They had lots of questions, and really trying to focus in on phase 1, the soap removal aspect of it, and then kind of forecasting, what could happen in the next couple of years as well. So it was, we talked about many things, not only Profumo Creek through the Profumo Arm, but the Madonna Road Bridge being, kind of a metering point for the lake. And so, kind of looking at a bigger vision for what could happen there. So, that's potentially something that we've talked about in an update of the waterway management plan, is getting a new suite of projects in there that would address kind of like contemporary issues that we're seeing since the last one is 20 years old. So Profumo Creek's of watershed would definitely be one area to highlight to do additional work there.
Yeah, there's capacity constraints all the way down the arm though, especially where Slow Creek and Profumo meet. And we've already looked at the backwater conditions with the East Fork analysis, and it's just exacerbates the problem. So yeah, a lot of potential challenges.
It's very flat there.
Yeah, with the LVR Bridge widening project that we completed a number of years ago, there was an original proposal to have 2 additional 8-foot culverts underneath the freeway, which would have been ideal. There were some challenges with permitting those, and so they weren't added to the project. And so that's one place, another constriction place that, we saw, especially January 9th. I was driving around. I mean, it was fascinating, but frightening to watch at the same time. Just seeing, the water being a couple feet from the top of the off-ramp itself, and just a whirlpool, just, trying to get that hydraulic pressure to convey the water through that box, the single box culvert that's there. So.
Out of space. Too much.
Yeah.
lots of weather.
But yeah, I think the best thing we can do to convey flow through that area is maintenance of the creek. So the overgrowth we got out of there, we've cleared out some of that vegetation that allows, at least allows the flow to pass through it rather than being just held up by all the debris and
Yeah.
vegetation.
Like,
So,
The city owns the outflow side, right, of those culverts? Once it leaves Caltrans right away, it's your,
yeah.
area where Bob
north of-
Jones
Comes
is
on
and
the,
stuff.
comes on city property.
yeah. Yeah, so that's, makes it a little easier to maintain at least.
Mhm. Yeah, we did a big cleanup there in February, March and April, I think, through that whole segment there, which really increased capacity and flow. So when the big storm in March came, it was flowing pretty freely out of there. So what we saw in March was that localized flooding up there on Oceanair and Galleon, which was due to the silt impacts on the Profumo arm, which clogged all the culverts. All that debris came down in January, clogged all the culverts on Perfume Arm there at LVR, and then created its own localized constriction right behind the homes. So that's what this project will do, but there are other potential projects.
Zone 9 is going away.
Oh, no, better not.
The Mid-High bypass project, we're adding more money to it again this time in this budget. Are we likely to be able to proceed so we don't have to add more in the next year?
We're working on
I think bid prices are our biggest unknown, so we have an updated estimate, which is our consultant's, best figures. And we're escalating it based on trends, construction, but, if we get a bid price next, for the next year's
You're still on
project.
schedule for bidding when you proposed before.
Yeah, we're still working towards, permits and easements will be
I was just
going
gonna
back to
ask if we had the
till next
easements all
week.
yet or no.
That's our longest lead time item. We don't have all the easements, so we're up against the clock for sure on securing those in time to bid. The constraint on timing of this project is the Bianchi Bridge, because that has to be prefabricated offsite, so we'd have to have the contract in place for them to design, fabricate, submit the bridge for our review and approval, and then manufacture it so that the bridge could be installed in the dry season. So we're working with our consultant on a schedule. I think we're gonna get that from them pretty soon on what's the latest we can start construction, which we can back into what's the latest we can bid the project so that we can do it next summer. So,
Nobody's asking us to preserve the old bridge anyway, really.
no, there was a historical resource analysis done. That didn't indicate that it needed to be preserved or.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
historical bridge, it's a
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, it's got the plaque on there, but there was no, this was done part of the EIR, so there's no recovery or salvaging of the bridge that was coming from that.
Save you some money there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the bridge right now is in poor condition, so we're doing a structural loading analysis to make sure that the construction equipment can actually cross the bridge during the work. So that's another area where.
Alex did it all the time.
Huh?
Alex put his stuff over there all the time.
Yeah, but.
That was a while ago.
Yeah,
Couple years.
Caltrans had a
Couple
bridge
floods ago.
assessment done saying, don't load it fully across the width of the bridge. So part of it's actually closed. There's 5 feet closed off to narrow the bridge because there's one stringer that is rotted. So bridge needs to be replaced.
That'd be really bad.
Yeah. We
Fix
do
the
have,
bridge and you break the bridge.
yeah. The city does have a Bailey Bridge, which is, they had in like World War II where you just put it from end to end across a span and it self-supports. So we're looking at whether or not we need to have the contractor, bring in a Bailey Bridge if the bridge can't support the weight of their equipment. So that's part of the analysis as well. So it's a complex one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
Anything else? Want anything further from us?
I mean, if there's no more comments, we'll just keep going. That's what we got.
I don't have any more comments on it myself. Thank you for the information. Just keep proceeding. My only concern is on the Midnight Zero project that it get deferred by another year and then have another 10% increase in cost. That's fine. Okay, item 4.
All right, well, I'll start this one and then maybe have Freddie and Lucia chime in. At our last meeting, we discussed staff brought to the committee a community event. We'd originally proposed an idea like a state of the watershed event, kind of technical presentation, past, present, future of water management planning. And I'd say the consensus of the group there last month was something more hands-on and more practical for the community. And so we took that feedback and got the city OES manager from the fire department and put our heads together, and we have come up with what we're calling the Community Flood Readiness Night. We are going to be at Farmers Market on November 2nd. I guess we're committed now. It's being announced. So we'll be we met with Downtown SLO yesterday, and what I would describe as a very positive meeting. They're going to give us what they call an activation, meaning we're like a special guest of the farmers market, and they will advertise on our behalf and the whole deal, and which is super cool. The group that we have already signed up to be, have booths and be there would be obviously the city in multiple parts of the city. So this would be their fire department, OES, community development department, and Freddie and Lucia will be there as well. We have the county, which would be County Public Works. Our stormwater coordinator and I will be there, as long as also with County OES, which manages all of the Prepare SLO, Ready SLO websites, and they have a ton of flood hazard preparation documents and guidance. They have so they'll be there. I'm hoping between those groups, one of us will have some computers set up where people could check their own hazards and sign up for reverse 911 and emergency alerts and things. We have Red Cross. They'll come bring emergency kits and show what those are. And I believe you said yesterday Creeklands was signed up as well, and they do a lot of work in SLO watershed. Some of the things we've been planning to do, instead of just being there to talk, we'll also have free sandbags to hand out, native seed packets that the county environmental team actually puts together themselves, which is kind of fun. It's all local plants. We're going to have sandbag demonstration areas for people to come fill their own bags and tie them and stack them, and we'll be there to help educate everyone on that. And yeah, am I missing anything? That's what we've got so far. Or I don't know.
Yeah, you can see here, it'll be right off Morrow Street, which happens to be the corner between Urbane and Victoria's Secret. And on Morrow and Victoria's Secret, there's actually a floodgate on a side entrance door. So we'll be able to demonstrate what it means to put up the floodgate, which I know it's been an ongoing concern for downtown businesses. So we're really excited for downtown SLO, not only to promote to downtown businesses, but that we'll be able to on-site give them that kind of live demo of what it looks like to set them up. And I think you hit everything else.
Sounds good. So you're gonna show people how to put sandbags in front of their doors to keep the water out?
Yeah, we'll go through how full to fill them, tying, and they'll have some demos there and stacking them, and we'll try to have some fun.
How about some Visqueen? Put some plastic up in front of the door first and put the sandbags on top of the plastic.
I mean, I guess I could break some of that.
I mean, that works.
Yeah, it does.
People do it the other way, using sandbags there.
I had to do this at my garage, so.
I think the farmer's market is a really good location too. I mean, I know you were toying with Octagon Barn and such, and that's a great spot, but it's not necessarily like in the middle of a place where lots of people are walking by, and
Right.
so this is like.
Totally pertinent.
Yeah.
With the
Good for,
floodgates
like-
and, that kind of awareness raising.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people don't have to come all the way out to the October.
Yeah. It'd be a great place for a presentation, but not.
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
I'm still holding on to it, but I know I had to put
Yeah, you
it.
can keep it in your back pocket for
Yeah,
your event.
yeah.
It'll.
Freddie and I will just go out there and do the presentation
Yeah.
for ourselves.
It's a great spot. It really is a great spot.
You have some music there too.
Actually, across the way, there will be music.
And the dance troupe and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Dance crews out there too.
We were just stoked with, kind of later-ish notice for them, that they were like, oh, we have a whole side street we could give you. I'm like, okay.
The location's great.
Sweet.
So when we first emailed them, they're just like, oh, yeah, we're full up until December. So that maybe we can, get a couple tables or something like that right in the middle. I'm like, can we meet and talk about this? So we all went down there yesterday and, it worked out great.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, we've got Morrill Street and get you guys set up. So 2 70-foot lengths on either side of the street. So, for the 6 to 8 booths that we wanted to have, perfect outcome. So.
Great.
Thank you.
It's great.
I like what you're talking about. I hope we get lots of people seeing it.
Yeah, so we'll start, I know we haven't, figured out all the details yet, but I'm hopeful we'll have like a joint press release between the county and the city, and we'll use our county social media, even, kind of pay to get it pushed out and advertised out as well, on top of the downtown slow. The week before, the last week of October, is the state declared it like flood preparedness week. So that's the week we'd be advertising anyway, so we can kind of latch on to that too. So, we're gonna try to get the word out as best we can.
You're catching the wave.
I'm not a good surfer, so I'll try. I'll try.
Yeah, downtown Slow said they put it out in their minutes or their
Whatever they do.
sort of
Newsletters.
newsletter, yeah, so their outreach stuff too. So, hopefully we can attract some businesses, from their outreach, just to remind them, like I say, raising the awareness. I'm hopeful this year for a 2016 El Nino, where we actually had less than average rain. Just all the warm water came over and hit the West Coast, as opposed to the forecast where they're saying, this winter could be on par with what we
97.
had last year. So.
You never know. Well, good. Anybody else have any comments or questions on that? I thank the staff for what they're doing.
I think Visqueen's a good idea. I think you actually need Visqueen to put the floodgates in properly to seal the edges.
Yeah,
Like that.
how to seal the joints.
Yeah.
It's really
Otherwise,
important.
on the sides.
I'll write it, put in my note right now.
That plastic.
Know where your floodgates are, know how to install them, and put them in before it gets really bad.
Wait, what?
There ought to be something that encourages them to, if it looks bad tonight, put them in before you go home, so they're there, and everybody kind of supports the idea that sidewalks get blocked somehow and accesses get blocked because we protect the property.
I think we'll be doing good if we just make sure the business owners don't have stuff stacked on top of them. It's being used as
And storage.
makeshift, yeah, or in storage, yeah,
Know where your floodgates are. That's number
makeshift
one.
tables, display cases, what have you.
Mhm.
I think it's a possible spin out of this is a, direct downtown slow kind of outreach from the city, with those reminders. Direct to the business owners would probably be a good idea.
Can we give KSBY or do they have some video of the 69-73 floods? They could show Iberia Street with water running down the street. That would be, get people's attention. It does happen.
I don't know that we have video of that. I know we have the website that has the historic photos. So.
I mean, the fire department posted videos from January 9th. I'm sure they're still on the city's Instagram of, yeah, mid-Higuera, the whole at High Street and all, they're just 2 feet underwater.
I'm thinking about Petro Street, 2 feet of water running down there. Yeah, I saw it.
Mhm.
That's tremendous. And no floodgates, you're dead.
Good thing for a slideshow for whoever brings the computer. Stored photos, yeah.
Yeah, one
I
of the
just don't
things
know.
we're really excited about is having a like, do I live in a floodplain iPad?
Yeah.
So folks who might be new to town or haven't really experienced localized flooding, and maybe have no idea that they're at risk and kind of get that basic information and start to prepare themselves.
Okay, moving on to number 5, ongoing updates. We just talked about your bypass. We need to talk about more. Is there more to say?
There's always more to talk about with me. No, just my brief summary, you guys can take a look at it, but, we do have 2 of our 3 permits, so we're pushing along, 2 years, more than 2 years later, we're almost there. And we have been making some good progress with the easements. We got a bunch of emails this week from our consultants, so we're pushing those temporary and permanent easements over to city attorney's office, getting the final comments, sending it back. So we are kind of making some progress on those. We don't have like more signed easements, but we have a lot of back and forth happening. So we're pushing them along. Our consultants, meeting with property owners, and we're making progress there. So hopefully we'll have more update in December, but we also, like Brian mentioned, the bridge, we're, doing additional design research right now to explore the current bridge conditions. That's kind of new. We didn't really know we were going to need to analyze the existing bridge, but we're doing that ahead of, the project getting to construction and having some major flaws. So I think that's, time well spent now while we have our consort bridge consultants going out and doing the inspection. I think they did it today, actually.
Good idea. You heard about the Highway 1 project out there, we're waiting you where they didn't do that.
No.
They spent all kinds of money widening one side of the bridge
Um,
and the other side is failing.
yeah. So, we did remove, some trees pretty recently, and that all went really well. That was, to meet these timeline windows that we have with our permitting. That was really successful and a big benefit to get it done now instead of with the full project contract. Yeah, so we'll just keep plugging along and hopefully get the design finalized and get it ready for permitting, ready for advertising, and keep working on the property acquisition piece and utility relocations.
Just one other update on our Army Corps permit. So I was in contact with NOAA Fisheries. They submitted their biological opinion to the Army Corps for consideration and then issuance of our 404 agreement. So the Army Corps was working on that. And then, we started contacting them about the emergency work that we're doing under there right now. So the sediment removal at the Marsh Street Bridge, which we're doing right now, is a component of the Mid-Higuera bypass. But since we were doing this early, without having all of our permits, plus it's outside of the typical work window, just because we have to get this done before it starts raining. We're also adding additional riprap for bank stabilization, and that wasn't considered in the Mid-Higuera bypass project. So there's going to be a little bit of back and forth about strategy for receipt of our emergency permit notifications, and then probably folding in future maintenance into the Army Corps permit that we get for the Mid-Higuera bypass project. So it's just a bit of coordination amongst the agencies, but all that's it's going well. Because they've realized that we have to do this project now, we can't wait, especially after we experienced flooding in January. So like I say, it was also interesting because we relocated 67 steelhead from a small part of the project area. Yeah. And when I was working with Matt McGugan from NOAA Fisheries to try to figure out what's our take limit, how many fish could we move for the entire area? Simple estimation, I was like, oh, maybe 400 fish based on the habitat that's available in there. And as soon as we got, on Sunday we were out there, we moved 60 fish. And I was like, small area, 60 fish, all the way down to Madonna Road, almost 400. That math doesn't work out well. So there might be a little bit of back and forth about, how do we account for that if we encounter more fish?
The habitat's better than I think it is.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I mean, fish up to
Where
almost,
were they?
what's that?
Where were they?
Right underneath the Mark Street Bridge.
Seriously,
Yeah.
60 fish.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, I mean, beautiful fish up to about a foot long. So, and there was 3,
Steelhead?
all steelhead, one sculpin, one goldfish, one largemouth bass, and then 3 lamprey amicetes or baby lamprey.
Hmm.
So it was pretty
I don't
cool.
know what those look like.
Was
I
it
don't know what
goldfish
lamprey
though?
looks like.
Oh, they're ugly. They're
A
really
goldfish?
ugly.
That's what I
Definitely
stood out.
Google it. Yeah, a goldfish, like somebody like probably emptied their goldfish. How big was it?
Dang.
That's what
They
they,
really do get big.
that's small. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Any lampreys?
Yes.
So I did see an adult lamprey swimming like out of the project site. It was probably about so long.
Surprising.
But that's another reason why we didn't dewater the site. We have another project up at Johnson and Pismo, emergency project that we're doing. So we dewatered that site as we were getting water out of the last pool. 4 adult lamprey came out. They're holdovers for next year. But I mean, those things were about 2 feet long. I mean, super cool, super cool. So Slow Creek is just amazing. It's just amazing. So.
So are there any of those, so is the goldfish an invasive
What the heck?
species?
Yeah.
So, but you
I was thinking-
relocated still?
Oh, no, he was relocated to heaven. So, same with the bass.
And the bullfrog.
Where are they?
We didn't find any bullfrogs.
Okay.
Here, they're native here? Lampreys are native
Huh?
here?
Did you pull it up?
Those are so, those are ugly.
Eels, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
they do look like eels with
Yeah.
the mouth.
They climb up weirs with their mouth,
They're not leapers. They use their mouth to be able to negotiate
like
barriers.
Spider-Man.
So
They
cool.
just
Nice.
scale
So
right
cool.
up.
So creepy, it's one of my nightmares about that.
Lamprey, nice.
Oh, wow, look at
The
terror of
centers of
Lampreys.
Israel.
Where near you?
You have to relocate
that.
lampreys?
Nightmares.
Yeah, we just put them upstream.
Seems like they're invasive too.
No, they're native.
Those are neat.
One of our 5 native fishes in San Obispo Creek.
And they're working their way upstream, so that's why you put them upstream. They're not gonna find a way through the pipe.
It's a good thing, Wayne.
Okay.
Come a long
They've been
way.
around for 450 million years.
They
Come
look
on.
kind of
That's
pretty
okay. They just
historic.
don't, they're just ugly. They don't seem like they should belong in a freshwater creek.
Beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. Come on now. I think they're amazing.
And you kill
This
the bass.
picture makes them look a
Oh, yeah.
lot nicer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like-
See, that's
That's
cute.
an attractive, that's
like
not
a-
the first picture we came
Yeah.
up
Side profile.
Looks
Yeah.
like it should live in the
It's the
Amazon.
right angle.
Whenever I start talking about that, people are just like, wait, what? You have to Google it, just Google it. And so they'll sit there and Google it and they're just like, oh my gosh.
That's like a stranger's thing. Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So
That's why they're growing in the lake.
They still do. People put them back in after it dried up in 2015. So,
We used to
So
put
we
trout
want
there,
those
too.
in our creek.
They're
yes, we do.
good. They're healthy.
Okay, right.
Creek
Good
maintenance.
discussion.
Is any different than just some creek maintenance? Same subject.
So creek maintenance, I have my flood control crew out a couple of times so far, working on key pinch point areas. They worked around the Murray Street Bridge on Stenner Creek, just to make sure that that's open because we've had flooding there in the past. We're also looking at vegetation underneath the Froom Ranch Way Bridge on Perfimo Creek, being able to clear that out in advance of winter time. We're already working on the Marsh Street Bridge. There was one down tree upstream of the Marsh Street Bridge in the Stenner Creek before it has confluence with Slow Creek. They worked on dicing that up some. Otherwise, I haven't seen many debris jams because, I mean, everything got blown out or we cleaned it up after the storms. So knock on wood, we're looking pretty good so far this year in advance of winter. So Wyatt Hicks and I have been around pretty much the entire watershed, looking at bridges and culverts and pinch points and stuff like that. And we haven't found significant debris, like I say, because it all got washed out. So, you know, minor branches that have broken here and there is kind of what is left that we've seen so far. So We've got Mark Street Bridge underway. We'll be doing the Perfuma Arm starting on Monday. And still have the CCCs lined up for East Fork in December. I will be meeting one of the captains from CAL FIRE tomorrow to see if we might have the opportunity for inmate crews. That's the big hindrance, is I don't have access to crews. The CCCs run about $2,500 a day. Tree contractors are about $3,500 a day. Tree contractors don't have the mobility of the CCCs, plus they're more expensive. So that would be targeted removal operations. There's 2 palm trees in Perfumo Creek before it gets into Laguna Lake. One of them fell this past winter. The other one is perched for imminent delivery, I'm assuming this winter. So I want to go in there and remove it, hopefully be able to remove it. Here again, it's the access issue. So we're going to have to come through a city lot to get down into the lake with a small piece of equipment, work with the neighbors on relocating part of a deck that's in the city's easement, but it's fine. Just to be able to access those palm trees, because it's the bottom of the system. The one fell across the creek and is laying in the channel right now. Like I say, the other one is still standing, but it's about 40% undermined, the root ball is. So any big flows that we get this year is going to go in. So, but like I say, access is my biggest hindrance right now. So trying to get strategic on how we can get in there and get those palm trees out for sure.
In the East Fork, I heard that there's enough erosion occurred this last year that they actually got down to the asphalt bottom.
Yeah.
Is that true?
In a number of places, yes.
Right underneath the bridge that goes into Buckley Stables. I mean, it's like hard pan just because of all the asphalt that's there.
I have pictures.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we wanted to increase capacity, we'd have to like physically dig that stuff out, but we're not touching that stuff. So that's legacy.
You all know where the asphalt came from, don't you?
1930, 1929, tank farm blew up. Struck by lightning. Crazy. Number 4.
Arundel.
I can give an update on that, since that was a city project, as I was informed. So we worked with the Land Conservancy on getting out to private property immediately downstream of Los Osos Valley Road. So the Great Wall of Arundel that we've talked about in the past, they had 4 days with the California Conservation Corps doing cutting and biomass removal. I don't know exactly how much they did remove, but it was a pretty good section. And then, you know, it was about 5 weeks later, they came back in to spray and treat the resprouts. So hopefully, you know, really limiting the amount of survival in that upper section. I have talked with John Hall about him getting additional funding from the Partners for Fish and Wildlife for ongoing efforts like this. I'm also talking with our fire department if there's a special project that we can identify there, just due to the fire threat that the Arundel poses with the unhoused community that's in there as well. And so we may try to target a bigger project to remove it all at once, if we can find the appropriate grant funding avenue for that under the auspices of fuel reduction. So trying to, here again, figure out, you know, how do we remove that stuff so that it doesn't continue to migrate downstream and to undo all the great work that the Land Conservancy has done down there. So successful project though.
Thank you. The next one is Avila study. This is a new item for us to hear about. It's in our watershed too.
Yeah, I think we talked about this in August. Not too many updates from the last 2 months. The consultant is working on a conceptual design for this area of frequent flooding, the low spot in Avila, that parking lot, San Francisco First Street. There is a gravity culvert that goes under Avila Beach Drive to the lagoon area, but obviously when the creek is really high and it's raining a lot, there's no flow. So it's, you know, looking at different ways to perhaps, you know, pressurize it with a pump or something, so we can keep that area from flooding. Like I'm sure you've all seen some of the photos of Avila. It can get pretty bad. Did well this year, all considering, but previous years, there's been a lot of water there. So yeah, something we're in design of, and we got ARPA funds for this, so it's not coming out of Zone 9 right now. That's a basic update, yeah.
Yeah.
When there's something big to report, I'll report on.
Public comment? Anybody from the public want to comment? Hearing none, we'll go to future agenda items.
We'll have the work plan endorsement on December's meeting.
Okay, and most of the rest of these items will be on there too.
Then we'll have the minutes,
Minutes.
I mean, minutes.
But there won't be any minutes from this meeting, other just a comment we had. We met at this time, we didn't have an agenda, quorum, so we didn't take any action.
Yeah, I think that's how the minutes will look. I think
Very,
that's
very
how,
brief.
hasn't happened to me in a while, actually. Do you remember how to do it?
Yeah.
We'll look it up.
Yeah.
Very brief.
A report out from the community event. And yeah, I think that's what we got.
Sounds good. Anybody else has something they'd like to see on the next agenda or a future agenda? Okay. I assume
Question for you. I said I have a question for you.
anybody, otherwise we're just gonna adjourn this non-meeting. Thanks for being here and giving me updates. It's good we keep listening and hearing what's going on.